So picture this, right? You're living comfortably in your 5-bed luxury Art Deco mansion, and someone comes along and gives you a tap on door and offers you £2 million to buy it. And you think to yourself, no, I've got an idea. What I'll do is I'll knock it down and dig a massive hole and plunge myself into the unknown. Now that's just what Christine Yorrif's done. And that does give true representation to the meaning of you're just digging yourself into a hole. Join us for episode 2 of the residencies at VAL D'OR, where we'll find out if the boys and girls at Torsion Homes have got what it takes to get Christine out of it.
So yeah, in fact, this is interesting because during lockdown, when I was doing walking, a bit crinkly as this, I'm at Cobble Hall Golf Club, and I looked across the field and I thought, oh, that looks gorgeous. And then I thought, oh, it's my house. It felt really embarrassing. And I was on my own, so I took a photograph of it, which is that I took. And then David superimposed the building onto the same landscape and gave that.
Yeah.
And look how similar.
And is that's the exact one that's getting built, or is it similar?
It's had one or two slight changes, but not that different. But you know, it kind of from a distance, it looks that's the original.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, we start to look at things like the style. It was always going to be in an Art Deco style, because the planner who looked at the pre-application for me, when we went in, and at that point it's just like a block drawing on a piece of land or a plot size shape. And he just said, well, it's not conservation, it's not listed, but it's a landmark house and we want a landmark replacement.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm fine with that because I want to build another white building in an Art Deco style, but with modern...
Like a modern touch
things
to it.
Yeah. And when it went in for planning, the planner actually said to the architect, it's perfect, I'm not changing the design, and he never did. And David took the stuff out, on the strength of this. I've never had that before. So although it took ages to get through planning, it was more to do with all the consultees that, highways took him 9 months to make a comment even. But the planner himself didn't change anything in terms of the fenestration, the appearance.
So who really takes responsibility for that happening? Is it David or is it yourself, or is it
David calls it collaboration. I mean, if you saw the initial drawings, the layouts, everything was rounded corners. And I know it's got an Art Deco look when you've got rounded buildings, but I said it'd be too expensive to build, we'll never be able to build it, and also furnishing a room with rounded corners is very difficult.
You
so
put round tables in all corners.
yeah exactly. And the architect for David, who was working on it, had put quite a lot of wooden cladding on it. And I went, no, we're not with any wooden cladding. I knew exactly how I wanted it to look, with windows that are black on the outside, that the white render. I don't want just a square, flat-sided box, and there's a lot of detail that we've been working on the design of recently, how it will, look on the outside, not just an absolutely flat wall. If you look at the detail, there's loads. And then everything else on sort of balconies, how they will look, how just everything. Is part of that detail. So a lot of that goes into the drawing of it. And so David just called it collaboration. The architect I was working with from Den has left architecture. I hope I haven't had anything to do with that.
Bloody hell.
But no, I mean, I know the scheme so well, I know the layout so well. I
bet you'd be able to walk it blindfolded.
I could walk it blindfolded. When it's built, I'll be able to walk around blindfolded and tell you where we are, which room we're in, what's.
Yeah, this is all the boring stuff that you don't
general
get
design
to see.
details of all apartments. So things that have to be in. So I'm saying, don't want balconies like that. I want them like this. So, don't kind of give me what I don't want, because if you do, I'll reject it. So I'm very much pictorial. I like to.
It's a lot easier to understand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's different kinds of developers. There's developers that build for the pound, and there's developers like yourself that build for the experience and the end product.
I mean, this particularly of all my schemes, I would say it's more of a heart scheme than a head scheme. I've got to say it's more,
They're always the best, though, aren't they? They always come out right.
I mean, when I've built before, they've had this same level of attention to the end result, but I've had much more of a focus than I probably am doing at the moment on the profit side of it, because this is just about delivering the best apartments and bringing together. Although I'm a bit fed up of Jordan calling it my swan song.
I'm excited to see this one finished and seeing what this other project is that you've got in mind, because
no, I haven't got one in mind. I just don't see me retiring at all. That no, I'm just not at all.
So, I mean, it's pretty apparent that Christine absolutely lives and breathes property development, interior design. You know, it's interesting to get perspective of, you know, how she goes about designing these spaces. And it's like she says that she just lives in a plan. She can live in a plan, which is a skill in itself. Obviously, being in property development myself, being able to understand the layout of a house before you start building is very, very important, because you're able to, like she says, design and move walls at the stroke of a pencil, which in theory sounds easy, but you know, it's not, because moving a wall a couple of 100 mil impacts the room significantly. So we're now 3 weeks into basement excavations, and I think we're just about complete. So we're heading down to site to catch up with the team and see how far they've got on with it.
Look at you, eh? Oh, look at that, eh?
How you doing?
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
it's a mad busy day. I've not time to do anything in between. I've got an appointment. Next person's been there already. Oh my God! Look at that.
How nice is the sun today? We don't need permission to play. Let's go, let's just get
Office.
Come on, talk us through it.
So, it's just to give us a bit more room. So, hence, we decided, first of all, it was for the working space down the bottom, it would have been 1.5 metre.
Yeah.
But that would have left us at the top 4.5 metre. So we decided to give the guys 750 working space.
Wow, no big heavyweights in
No,
there then.
no. Otherwise they get buried. And then he gives us 6 metre, you know,
Right.
of
So
traffic
from the
space.
top of the
Yeah,
matter
yeah.
to the top of the basement, what's that distance?
What, on here?
No, from the top, from there
Yeah.
Yes.
to the top of the basement.
Oh, on here.
No,
Yeah, so
the
to-
line, the horizontal.
Oh, the line.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll be in line with it.
What's
No,
the
what
distance, the
The
measurement?
distance we've got 4 metre from there to there.
So
you-
the backfill, what's the backfill makeup of that?
We're going to have a French drain all the way around the
You got
building.
to get your French drain.
I know, I've got to get it.
What's a French drain compared to an English drain?
Well, I don't know the English drain, but the French are better.
More effective.
It's more effective. That's yes. So all the makeup on here will be a stone, type 1 stone. But apart from some places, because we're going to have a crane obviously to lift the holocaust.
Yeah.
So we might have to mass fill that with lean concrete mix to put our pad
Yeah. Right.
for the crane, because it's got to be a 160 ton crane. So.
And what cure time are you giving basement walls before you start backfilling?
Well, they've got to. They're going to do the waterproof, and I don't know exactly what's the curing time.
When's the crane estimated to arrive on site?
That would be for the Holocaust. So Holocaust will be, I would presume, about October time for the first floor.
Right, okay, so we're finishing basement in August.
In August.
So you've got 4 weeks, haven't you?
So we've got all the brickies. I
Yeah.
reckon 4 gangs of brickies. And then we'll get the whip out.
The French whip cracks a lot louder than English, doesn't it?
Yes.
Don't keep me waiting.
Well, GPS gives us all the level. It's got like an iPad in the cab,
Yeah.
and it gives him all the levels he needs to be digging at.
Yeah.
The
and
depth.
will that restrict the machine from going any further, or will it just allow?
No,
him?
not this one. It's just he'll know on the screen.
Yeah.
You know, so it's pretty accurate,
Yeah.
and it will give him as well. The model is made so all the angle, the degrees of the batter
Yeah.
will be in the machine, so he'll know when he needs to go at 45 degrees or 60 degrees.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
machine will tell him. Because it's no good coming to start digging something like that with a 2-ton
Shovel.
machine. Well, I'll give you a 2-ton machine. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
but yeah, with a shovel, it's not happening, is it?
It'd be a few boys and a few brews,
Yes.
a couple of Yorkshiremen, and get it done.
Yeah, that's
Mixed
it,
with
yeah.
some Irish or something like that.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of inquiries.
Have you?
Already?
Yeah.
That's really good.
There's somebody coming up from London tomorrow. Who's meeting in the office at
Yes.
Jordan's. I'm driving back from Buckinghamshire on Monday straight into a meeting with somebody. There's another one on Tuesday or Wednesday. Tuesday there's one as well, another one. Jordan and Rowan in the office have taken quite a few inquiries. I think since there's been activity on site,
Yes.
because we've not done any marketing yet. It's not on Rightmove even yet. So there's 4 or 5 maybe inquiries live at the moment. We've only got 6 to sell.
So, I mean, you really don't get any sense of perspective as I descend into the hole. But it's 4.5 metres deep. And that's a bloody big long slope. Let's have a look. So you might not really have any sense of perspective, but that thing behind me there is a 6-ton machine. So I'm going to go stand at the side of it so you can understand just how bloody big this hole is. Do you see what I'm saying? It's massive. 900 square metres in fact. Now this hole is going to be home to the residences at VAL D'OR underground car park. It's a luxury car park that's got 22 spaces. It's got a gym, it's got storage spaces, there's a plant room, obviously access to the elevator. It's got a heated ramp for the cars to get out so that there's no slipping and sliding in them winter months. So it's got all the bells and whistles. But this was the easy part. And it's the calm before the storm. So the engineers are on site next week. And that's where it gets interesting.
No doubt we'll be working great. We haven't met by mistake. So don't keep me waiting.
Hello. Don't be starstruck.
So don't keep me waiting.
Right. So let's get some perspective really on how long this journey's been from the start. 'Cause I know that this seed's been planted in your mind probably 20 plus years maybe.
Long time, years and years and years, but probably started working on it 4 years ago, would you say?
Just over, I think,
Is
yeah.
it over,
yeah,
yeah?
just over 4 years, yeah.
Just
the
over
first
4
time, that
years.
first meeting.
I know there's a lot of emails around about 2022 even, so certainly 3 years ago we were certainly, I mean then it didn't go into planning until December 20, wait a minute, December 22 it went in for
First
21 first application.
First
Yeah.
application was
First
21.
application, December 20. Well, it was the only application because we didn't get it rejected. It just took them forever.
Yeah.
So it went in December.
It went through first
went-
time.
Yeah.
With no
No
amendments
objections.
whatsoever.
Really?
Nothing.
Well
No
designed
comments.
then.
Well,
Yes.
they actually said it went in right December 2021, and when it went in, it got validated on January the 4th, the first day back at work that year. So they'd had the Christmas holiday in between. It was incredibly fast to get it validated,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
With a 2-week holiday in the middle of that period. And the planner said, it's perfect, I'm not changing the design. And you took your staff to the Lamb and Flag, do you remember, to celebrate?
I did.
Because
Yeah.
it never had
I
anybody.
nearly bought a round as well.
And then it took them then till September 2023 to approve it. It took Highways
Yeah.
9 months to make a comment even.
Well, that was a nightmare, wasn't it?
It's just horrendous. Highways was the nightmare and continued to be. Cost us a lot of money,
Yeah. It was the council's consultants that were the problem. To be fair, the planning officer was very
Planner's
good,
been
wasn't
great. The planner
Yeah.
is exactly emailed me recently and twice previous to that as well. He said to me, can I come and see it when it's finished?
Yeah.
And I said to him, do you normally do that? He said, no, but I love this scheme. He's been and had coffee with me twice. He loves it so
Really?
much. Yeah. I mean, when do you get a planner that does that? And he answers the phone to me. I ring up and he actually answers. I'm ready to talk into an answer machine and he answers the phone.
And that's not normal.
No, it's not
Well,
normal,
the very
no,
first
no.
conversation we had, I can tell you exactly. I looked at my phone. I woke up about 7:15. At 7:25, there was an email from him. Is it too early to ring you? So I replied immediately, no, that's fine. I'm sat up in bed. And
Christian emails at 2 in the morning and 4 in the
I've
morning.
received quite a few of them emails,
I
yeah.
won't
So.
late. You know, I'm not embarrassed to say I often don't get up till 7:30 or 8. So
I'm still not old, man.
he rang me and I said, oh, you start early. He said, I'd take my partner to work about 6:30. So straight away we had this kind of open conversation. Do you know what I mean? It was like a relaxed conversation.
Yeah.
I know about, his dad's home in Florida, about holidays, and just, and he's been and had coffee with me at VAL D'OR a couple of
Whatever it
times.
did, it worked.
Yeah.
Didn't it? And
Oh,
that
that's-
was
that's
it.
We
impressive,
did have
that
a nice,
is, really
because a few
impressive.
times when, even when we've been on design team meetings and Harpreet's been, somebody said, well, can you email him? I said, shall I ring Stuart? Because if you've got a relationship with somebody, bloody use it.
Absolutely.
Goes a long way, definitely.
And
Yeah.
I'm not going over Harpreet's head. Harpreet works for David.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to get through like that.
But he wouldn't get the
Not a
same,
chance. I wouldn't.
do you know what I mean?
No.
The fact that I can kind of just ring him up and he answers.
He understands what you're trying to achieve,
Yeah, he does.
basically.
He does,
Yeah.
and he's pleased to have been part of it. I think it's
Yeah.
just. But in terms of the layout, even we changed the. There had been originally going to be 11 apartments in the main building and a gatehouse on the side land, and then the council wanted £600,000 affordable housing contribution. So we said, well, it's not worth building this gate lodge. And what we did, 9's the cut-off number for affordable. So we changed the internal drawing. I did them on tracing paper. Jake, who was then working on it at David's office, I said, that's how I'd like the space dividing up. Can you now do the technical bit of it? We didn't change a single external facade of window or doors. We just made 5 apartments into 4 on each floor, so they're all bigger. And they work great. I love the
Yeah.
layouts. They work.
Yeah, if we've got to start moving all the windows and doors,
Oh, if it had been-
it'd have been all the starting again.
So all we did was
Yeah.
change from
Yeah.
11 to 9 and knocked off the side one.
Yeah.
Knocked off 600 grand affordable housing contribution.
Yeah.
Impressive.
And it's actually been better for the GDV doing it that way.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So, historically, architects, when they get involved in projects, they're very involved with the design and it's almost like they adopt it as their own project. How's the dynamic between you two being
Well,
over the...
Christine's the most unusual client in as much as, I mean in a nice way, really. A lot of clients, you get the brief, you go off and do your thing, you go back, explain it, and might tweak it, whatever. Christie's immediately, I wouldn't say she's more than she's hands and feet on, not just hands on. Is that fair to say? And each,
David calls it collaborating.
yeah, I'm sure there's other kind of words I could use, but yeah, my first idea was it's a speculative scheme, we'll be doing identical apartments, blah, blah, blah. But actually it's turned out, and again, this is Christine's input, but it's 9 individual apartments. It's as if Christine's designed with us. Each one, we work together, but it's as if Christine's saying, I'm going to live in that one, I'm going to live in that one. And you treat each one as if it's somebody you're going to
I
live
could
in.
walk round every flat
You know.
blindfold. I know every
Yeah.
door opening, every window. I could tell you now the furniture layout for every apartment was the optimum space usage. You know.
Yeah, but you haven't said that's really unusual, Christine, for any client. It really, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, from a nightmare, from our point, it's a nightmare. Just move it. Can you just move that door 1.5 millimetres to the left? I think it'd work better. Yes. Has anybody got a gun for Christine?
No, it's
But,
not that. I
no,
just try to justify any
You do.
changes or suggestions. I don't change my mind back. I don't say no, let's go back to what it was. I'll say that's a better way of doing it because that door swings better, or we're not opening looking at a toilet, or or we can get a run of wardrobes.
No, you
down
sit
there.
yourself in the apartment.
Yeah,
You do.
I can use the space.
And to be fair, the schemes, and again, I'm not just saying because Christine sat next to me, but the scheme has turned out to be far more, how can I put it, individualistic, if you like. And it's as if this is as if it's been designed for an individual, as opposed to a speculative apartment. I mean, we do apartments all over the country, and some are quite expensive, particularly in the London area that we do, but they're still speculative. They might have exceptionally expensive finishes, but they're still kind of speculative.
They're not really well thought out in
Whereas
terms
these are
of living
100%
space.
bespoke, and I mean, yeah, I'm not lying. This scheme wouldn't have ended up quite like this had we just been left to design on our own without Chris's involvement. So it is unusual to have
So
such.
I've got here, I've printed this off because when I was looking through. This is the early version of VAL D'OR.
Oh,
a lot of my things are archived. All those round corners. But I thought, what if I want to then furnish a room and I've got a round corner all everywhere on these round corners? I said, we can't furnish them. And then not only externally but internally, we've got to do round skirting boards, round covings, round door, you know. The front elevation, it's got a load of wood panelling. It would be about 2022, I think.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, bear in mind, a lot of this was done in lockdown, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. But, you know, it just looks hard and technical.
It doesn't look at it's weird because it doesn't look anything like what it's.
Yeah.
I think what I've gathered is a lot of developers design to maximise on space for profitability, but you design in a way that when you live in the space, it just feels effortless.
Yeah, and you know, I would say if you get the comfort and functionality right, colours are easy, textures are easy. That bit of curtains and cushions is quite straightforward. It's the convenience and the comfort of living in somewhere that you don't have. You've got a good flow through of everything, and you know, I mean, the thing like David's saying about there's a bathroom where I said, no, move that door across because when you're lying in bed, if that door's left open, you're looking at the toilet.
Yeah.
And when I said that to Romy the next day, he said, I thought about you when I went to bed last night. I said, did you? Yes, he said, I got into bed. He said, I could see the toilet.
I've got some serious thoughts about remodelling all that room.
But you know, things like that people don't always see when they're on a drawing. They don't see it. Where I always think, well, when it's a drawing, it's just a pencil line to change. If you've built the building, it's a bloody big job to do to knock a wall down. Start moving it. Yeah, I'm working on a development at Adel at the moment. I won't say which developer it is. We're redoing all sorts, and we've moved the bathroom. The house is 2 months old. We've moved the bathroom door because as you went in the bathroom, the toilet stuck out a good few inches, like 5 or 6 inches in front. As you walked into the door, you were banging your right knee on the toilet.
Yeah, mine does
So
the same.
so we've moved. Yeah, I mean, what kind of architects and planners? I worked on one at Scarcroft where if I went in one day and I said, "Where's the staircase going?" and they marked it out on the floor, and I thought, that's a pity. And the three of them, the site manager, director, and the client, sort of looked at it. If they'd have left it like that, you opened the door, you had to walk around, you had to almost climb over the bottom step to get in the kitchen. So they had to completely alter all the curtain walling and make the door open the other way. But if my client who'd exchanged, you know, if he'd have sort of just gone and lived down south or something and then came back and when they gave him the kid, they said, well, you signed up on it. You know, and it was the staircase wasn't actually in at that stage. But if you know, and I said, who's your architect? And my client said to them, she's only asking you to make sure she never uses them. Because I went, well, who's checked that? You know, if the client doesn't check it, surely the architect should take some responsibility.
Something as fundamental as that, you'd think.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk about the residences at VAL D'OR being your, let's say, swan song, but you don't like that term.
No, I don't.
So have you got your eyes set on anything else? I know it's a bit presumptuous to jump the gun, but
I mean, I've got other jobs that I do, so I'm looking at, you know, I'm doing other properties, one in Worksop, one in West Woodside, near Doncaster, Crowell, the one in Adel. So I've got other clients that I'm doing houses for, but no other development project at the moment. But you know, we'll see.
Never say never. We can safely say that it's not Christine Yorov's Swan Song development. We will see.
I've got an office in my apartment, and there's a reason for that. It's not full study; it's an office.
So we'll keep it waiting.
You know the story about the guy who was taking the lead off the roof? So we got a call about 6 o'clock in the middle of winter. Yeah. There's someone on your roof taking the lead. So Fearless Jordan jumps in his car at the branch, flying down the ring road, because I'm like, knew someone would break in. Sorry if this is on camera. So I get to about 200 metres away, and Rowan rings me and goes, "Your mum's just called." I said, like, is she on her way as well, or she called the police? She went, no, she's there. She's actually selling the lead off the roof.
So you need to have your PPE. Where's your PPE? So white. I mean, it's all luminous, isn't it?
I think that's bright enough, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a state agent PPE.
It's Friday after 3. This is what goes on with VIPs. You're allowed on site without the full gear.
Yeah, state agent PPE. Is that what it is?
Yeah, this is state agent PPE. I've got the safety shoes on. Say yeah. Hey, the blue suede shoes. I tell you what, this would be great for hill sprints. This I can see a bit of cardio. If you find me tomorrow morning doing sprints up here.
Get some sprints in.
You going to come with?
You've got your sloping. I said, because he says he's going to reuse all this to base out. I says, but the machine that's going to move that, how does that get out of the hole? You know what I mean?
It's going to have to get lifted out, isn't it? You would assume. So when you're down here, everything looks a lot higher up there, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because we're below ground level.
Yeah, but when you're up there looking down, it's not as impressive when you're actually in the hole.
That's what I mean.
You realise how big it is. It's a big hole, isn't it? Very big hole.
What do you reckon?
I'm amazed how quick they've got down into the hole.
Yeah.
I mean, they got in there in no time.
I think there were only 3 of them as well, working on it.
No, seriously, like obviously Sam's just said that they're on time with the project, which it's only early days to be on time with any project, but it amazes me how quickly and efficient.
Dig for any projects is always the fastest part. I think they've been really lucky with weather. I think, you know, the wagons being able to get to the location where they've
How many wagons were there in total?
696.
Oh, so less wagons than originally forecast, because it was 900 odd, wasn't it, originally? It was...
No, 500.
Oh, was it 500?
Yeah.
Wow. So 200 wagons over.
Yeah, who cops for that difference?
So it's a bit of a miscalculation, that one, isn't it?
It is at 200 quid a pop, innit? Someone stubbed the toe on that one.
So we'll keep it waiting.
No, but you can even see, just stood looking back now, it's not just the width, it's the length, and then obviously you can see the sheer face at that end there. It's a big old hole.
Yeah.
And
you can't, even on camera, so like when we're stood here now, you can see behind us, but it's not until you stand over there, you can really tell on camera how deep it is.
Do you want to run over there and wave at us?
Yeah,
you run.
Yeah. I'm obviously not running at full pace, but if I stand here...
Here's a wave.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
he's actually 6 foot in real life.
You can really tell that it is a big hole, because I look like a small person stood next to you now. In actual fact, I'm 2 inches taller, and 2 inches,
just 2 inches.
Everybody knows, is the difference in a lot of things. It's quite an impressive difference.
Do you know, it's funny, in real life you're 2 inches taller and you're about twice as fast.
Yeah, my running days are over.
I think the other thing as well that fascinates me, obviously, is you look from that side and obviously you see, you know, lush nature around the site. You look in the direction I'm facing now, and as well as a rugged man, you obviously got next door's property, which, you know, obviously was never designed to look like that because they always had a boundary there.
Yeah.
And obviously the new boundary that's going to be created will screen it entirely again. But
there's a big white wall going in there, isn't there?
Yeah, huge white wall. Obviously at the moment you've just got the acoustic shield on that side of the garage on the neighbouring property. But
yeah.
It reminds me of when you see...
doing its job.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They can't hear a thing. But when you think about, when you watch like sort of the coastal scenes, you see coastal erosion and you see houses drop into the ocean. That's the image that you see, isn't it?
Yeah,
From
it
here.
is. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, it's due to
fortunately, we
rain
haven't got
next
the
week.
Atlantic.
It's due to rain next week, so
We might get a bit more land.
we might get a bit of that coastal erosion.
Yeah.
But that's what that's for. That's what the visqueen's on
The
there
sheet,
for.
so that protects it from that.
Yeah, yeah. Any falling water then just comes straight off of it and don't sit on it and damage it. And high tech.
Very. Modern construction methods, eh?
Yeah.
Just look at that hole there.
There's a few holes on
There's a
here
few,
that's like poo pipe holes, the old ones.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
So, obviously they're no longer in use.
Well,
Not going to get reused, are they, for drainage or
no,
anything?
they're definitely no longer in use, Jordan, because there used to be a house here, but now there's no house anymore.
Time, let's get it going. We don't need no.
What's it like as an estate agent being on the site at this point?
I think because I've got a sort of intimate knowledge of the site from that holistic design approach. From you know, as much as early days, it may have felt a bit like it was adventurous, to where we are now, where it's happening.
Yeah.
I've obviously lived that journey with my mum. Maybe not as closely as she has, but I've been involved. So now that I'm sort of here and it's where it's at, I think to me I expect it to be here.
Yeah.
It'd be more of a surprise if I was an estate agent without the connection I've got to.
And then come into it now. Yeah.
Because at that point, you probably haven't lived the plans like I have.
Yeah.
My mum has, you know, gone in the memories of kicking a ball around down there, because that's long gone, hasn't it?
Yeah, you'd have to hoof it now to get them top bins.
To get the top bins, it'd be a real dig out the ground, wouldn't it? Sand wedge. But yeah, it's you know, I can now see the scale of a car park.
Oh, that is a bloody big hole. It is a massive hole. It's really weird to be studying something like that, because, you know, when you're looking down at it, you can't really get perspective of how big it is until you get into it, and then you know. So we're now 8 weeks into the project. We've not really come across any obstacles or hurdles yet. But with every single project does come with its own problems, its own hurdles. We're 3 years in making through all the boring stuff, the solicitors, the architects, the meetings, the banks. And now we've got to the point of construction where the engineers come in and do their part. I think what I'm most excited about really is seeing the project evolve and seeing how the boys and girls at Torsion Homes are going to overcome the obstacles and problems that they're running into. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on episode 3. And as always, like and subscribe. Stay tuned. Bye for now.